The main character is Adrian Wright. Adrian comes from the north. His parents are environmental activists, but he doesn't give a shit about it. He just wants to go and buy this lakefront restaurant and make some quick money. What he ends up doing is selling some drugs to make his mortgage payments. He's not a big-time drug dealer, doesn't really know what he's doing. Some guy was growing some weed on his property and gives him a portion of it. And he finds these bikers who want it, and he's making enough money to barely make his mortgage payments. But he's not a big-time guy at all. But then he's got this Parker Greenberg who's telling him, oh, no. You got to get rid of the motorcycle guys. I'll get you some, you got to make a nice clean business, and then people will come. He says, but nobody's coming, except the motorcycle guys. So what am I going to do, you know? So he's going in many different directions, and he finally does his last, what he believes to be his last deal, and he's relieved that he's got these motorcycle guys off his back. And the dealer, the guy he's dealing with is a guy named Big Al. Says Adrian was relieved when Big Al was gone. They would meet one last time. The contraband would be gone, the house would be clean, the deal's over. In 5 or 6 months, the restaurant would be on the market. His life had become precarious because he was trying to be many people that kept bumping into one another. He was a businessman and investor in his last-ditch effort to be financially successful. He was a political activist trying to please his parents and Greenberg, but it was sabotaging his business. Drug deals were saving it, but he was at the mercy of people he feared, Big Al and the law. His personal life was in no better shape. He was secretly in love with a married woman who seemed to love him equally. He had no plans for giving her up, although he worried that Greenberg would find out and condemn him if her husband, Benjamin Chew, didn't kill him first. He is trying to keep a jilted, crazed lover at bay who knew of his secret dealings. He was trying to be a good father, hoping to provide his daughter a good education and decent life. All the while, he was lying and denying her reasonable association with her boyfriend. The Chamber of Business would soon learn what he is, a fraud. Once praised in the Gainesville Times, he braced for condemnation. He looked around at his modest 2-bedroom home and felt ashamed. He was not ashamed of his illegal or shady dealings, but of himself for self-criticism. He was certain of one fundamental principle of business. It was not in the textbooks at Wharton or at any other business school, but it was in the minds of everyone who aspired to succeed. Graft, deception, greed, illegal acts are behind every successful businessman. They don't come home after work and say to their families, hey, I bribed some county commissioners so I could destroy more wetlands to get high-density housing. Or I pulled some strings at the Department of Environmental Protection so we could save money by dumping more mercury and arsenic into the atmosphere. They don't talk about how they laid off 50 workers to increase company profits, or that they hid product flaws so a public stock offering could bring in millions. Adrian had seen the community leaders on television, in the news, at the forefront of the community events. If he'd gone to church, he would have seen them there too, dressed in suits, standing tall and sinless. These icons were honored in the Performing Arts Center for an endowment that made this operatic performance possible. Men in tuxedos and women in black evening gowns queue up to thank them for contributions to the community while trying to squeeze into the television news shots or the grip and grin newspaper photographs. Their names grace the credits of public television documentaries. This program was made possible through the generous donation of Something or Other Foundation, which was made possible by the corrupt dealings of our founder and CEO, who increased profits by denying his workers health insurance and poisoned our children by spewing toxic into the air. Cleansing themselves was as easy as making a few donations to the arts. A modest gift to the church, a contribution to United Way. After their deaths, news media tell about their wonderful deeds and sanitize their legacy. The lies of their lives live on in history. Their names grace highways and buildings, or maybe some park they failed to demolish. No, Adrian had not apologized for his behavior, not to himself, not to anyone. He's doing what he had to do to make, the restaurant's called Bubba's, a success. His course was not determined by choice, but by circumstance. He was condemned to follow it to its modest conclusion. Perhaps one day he too would make amends for the misdeeds he committed in pursuit of money. The only dream he would realize was sailing away made possible by the generosity of Elizabeth Muhlenberg, a neighbor who left him her house.